welcome back everyone to the video series dating show on Paramount Plus that loves to get stuffed. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge World Championship Episode 11. We now have our final 4 teams heading into the finals. However, before we can get to talking about the 4 teams and the finals, we gotta go over what happened in this week's episode. So let's start off where last episode left off, and that was Troy and Casey coming back to the challenge house after winning against Darrell and Kiki, and after being thrown in by Emily and Yes, who are back at the house and kind of frustrated that the team they wanted out are still in the game. And we also go to hear from Kaz, who is still frustrated in how she feels like she is being treated from Jordan. She feels like a pawn in Jordan's game. She wants to feel like a 50-50 partner, so she goes and has a heart-to-heart with Jordan. And we actually see Jordan apologize to Kaz about how he has treated her, how he has spoken to her during this season. And so that makes them feel better about getting their feelings off of each other's chests, and they hug it out. And to me, this was the biggest barrier to Kaz and Jordan going into the final daily, the final elimination, and possibly into the finals, where if anything was going to be a hiccup in their game or in their teamwork and communication, it was going to be this. We then see Sarah get a phone call from home, which should signify to everybody who is watching that either Sarah was going to win the daily and into power, or she was going to get sent into elimination. Just this far into the game and actually seeing a phone call from home, it's like, whoa, that means that something is going to happen to this player, and luckily for Sarah, it worked out for her. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves as everybody dons their challenge gear, meets up with TJ around a body of water for this week's daily challenge. But it's not any old daily challenge. This is the final daily challenge of the season, and everybody is getting excited as TJ says that if you win this daily challenge, you're not only safe from this vote, but you're punching your ticket to the finals. And everybody gets excited. That is until TJ announces that in this week's daily challenge called Downfall, this is a sabotage daily challenge. So the way this daily challenge works, everybody's going to jump into the water, swim to their ladders, get up, and try to untie a challenge sign. Once a team unties their challenge sign, they can pull a flag to eliminate a team that is still in the game. The last 2 teams remaining will go head to head to solve a puzzle where the team that can solve the puzzle first will win into power, win into safety, and win into the finals. And the first team sabotage will be going directly into the elimination. Now, it's really no surprise that the first team sabotaged is Casey and Troy. They were sabotaged by Emily and Yes. Now, I think at this point, Emily and Yes are feeling really good about their chances of winning this daily challenge, or at least somebody that they like, such as Sarah and Theo, to win this daily challenge, as they have very strong ties with Danny and Sarah, as well as they have a deal with Jordan and Kaz coming into this daily challenge where Jordan and Kaz will not win, which is the only other team I think they really feared about throwing them in. However, Jordan and Kaz are the second team to untie their challenge sign, and they sabotage Emily and Yes, pulling their flag and having them drop out of this competition. Now, when I saw that, I was super excited because I was saying, yes, this is it. This is the time where pretty much you have to just take every deal into consideration. You need to just do what you need to do to get yourself further. Theo and Sarah sabotage Danny and Tori, leaving Theo and Sarah and Jordan and Kaz as the final 2 teams left in this daily challenge, where Jordan and Kaz just kind of sit down at the finish line, basically. They are not even trying to go up their ladder. They're not trying to figure out the puzzle. They don't want to win at all to honor the deal they made with Yes and Emily, so they're trying to help Sarah and Theo win this daily challenge, and it takes forever. This comes down to Kaz figuring out the puzzle, Jordan also figuring out the puzzle, and essentially handing the win to Theo and Sarah. And we even see, going back to the challenge house, that Theo jumps in the jacuzzi because he said to himself, like, I earned it, I kinda earned it, I half earned it, nah, I earned it. I mean, to me, a win is a win. I just don't know if you would want to get it that way, but at this point, who gives a crap? You're in the finals. This is the point that you wanted to get to. And honestly, if I'm Jordan and Kaz and I sabotaged Emily and Yes to take them out of the game, why not just go and get the win? You kind of skirted around the deal. Why not just full on break it and just go on and get that win? In my opinion, they made the wrong move. It ultimately worked out for them. I just feel like if you're going to not fully honor a deal or find a way to go around it, beat around the bush, why not just go on and win it? Punch your ticket into the finals, because why would you want to put your fate in anybody else's hands at this point of the game? Just throwing it out there. Everybody moves back to the challenge house where, yes, really wants everybody to just do a stalemate. And I was thinking, there's no way. Why would we ever do a stalemate? It's 3 people at the voting ceremony. There's only 3 teams at the table, and 2 of those teams have ex-fiancés who have never said each other's names basically this whole game and who are always looking out for each other. This is a slam dunk for Jordan and Tori and their 2 teams to punch their tickets into the finals, right? Why not just vote Yes and Emily, send them in against Casey and Troy, and then just move on. Go to the elimination in street clothes, kind of kick your feet back, and just be excited. Just be happy that you've made it to another finals. Well, when we see Jordan kind of let Tori know about the deal that him and Kaz made with Yes and Emily the prior week, he also says that this is the time where we just want a stalemate. Let's all just vote for each other, give the power to Sarah and Theo, and whoever has to go in has to go in. What now? Why are we doing this? Tori had the best confessional of this episode saying, why would we do that? Why even put our fate into somebody else's hands? We have the votes. We're 2 votes out of the 3. Let's just make the majority and get to the finals. And then if you're Tori, you're praying that Casey makes it into the finals and wins against Yes and Emily. And I was like, yes, finally. Good strategy. Good talk. Do it. Absolutely do it. Why are we just kind of coasting? This is just another episode where we could just coast our way and not have to say a name when we could just say names and there would be no worry, There's no if, ands, can I trust Sarah 100%? I believe I can trust Sarah 100%. There's none of that, Just vote somebody in and know 100% you're safe going into the elimination. But that's not what happens, That's not what happens. Everybody stalemates, and then now everybody assumes, because after 2 other stalemates, it's always been the power couple that has the power, so now it is all up to Sarah and Theo. And what I found very interesting, it just seemed like Jordan and Kaz was completely off the table from the very beginning. Maybe it's the connection between Theo and Kaz. Maybe it's because Jordan and Kaz ultimately handed the win to Sarah and Theo. So now Sarah is going back and forth. Does she say Emily and Yes? Does she say Danny and Tori? She's playing tennis in her mind, volleying the ball back and forth, the decision of whether she says Danny or Tori or Emily and Yes. And she even talks to Danny about this. And Danny's like, if you would have said this before the voting, I would have done something completely different. Why didn't we just do that in the beginning? Jordan and Kaz says, I want to vote for myself. Emily and Yes, second, say, I want to vote for myself. Danny and Tori, just say any other name. This is when championship decisions are made. I think back to War of the Worlds 2, where CT, who was a part of Kara's cult the whole time, decided to switch up everything to save Tori and to keep his team strong, which ultimately worked out for them in the finals. Why not do that here? Why not just be like, sure, I'll burn vote. I want to go last. Psych, 2-1. You're going in. Have fun. We're safe. There's no worries whatsoever. But here we are playing up the edit of, am I saying Danny and Tori or Emily and Yes? I really didn't think Danny was in any real trouble. But for a second, a millisecond at least, or at least a couple of minutes in a conversation with Sarah and Danny, there was some inkling of a doubt of possibly sending in Danny Tori when you had the power to keep yourself safe in that voting. I'm done with the whole voting stuff. We eventually do see Sarah try to have some quiet time away from the cameras to talk to Emily and give her a heads up that I am going to say your name. I am sending you into elimination against Casey and Troy. So everybody dons up their challenge gear, heads down to meet up with TJ, where they do see a hall brawl in the middle of the arena, and TJ then calls out Troy and Casey to join him on the arena floor, and TJ is pissed. He is livid. Not only was there a stalemate, but everybody just voted for themselves. So, TJ decides to change up the rules, and instead of giving the power to Theo and Sarah, he decides to give the power to Casey and Troy to call out anybody up there to go up against. Where was this rule change last week? That's all I'm gonna say about that. But I am happy that Casey and Troy do get to pick whoever they want to go up against. Honestly, once we got to see it was the Hall Brawl, you could instantly check off Tori and Danny as an option. That was not even gonna be close to being the choice there. So it came down to Jordan and Kaz or Emily and Yes, and they choose Emily and Yes. Looking at Troy, I think he matches up better with Yes instead of Jordan. Yes and Emily have not seen a Hall Brawl ever, and they have seen quite a few less eliminations than, say, Jordan, who has a lot more experience, and you have a vendetta against this team. You want revenge against this team. So I think coming into the matchup, picking Emily and Yes, and having that fight and that fire against them already inside you, and knowing, like, if we take them out, we make it into the finals, we make sure they don't go into the finals, and we've been kind of going at it this whole season, this would be so sweet to be able to go up against them. So I think that they made the right decision, and honestly, they did make the right decision looking at the results of it. In round one, we have Troy versus Yes, and Yes does have height and weight over Troy, but when they're wrestling a bit, Troy is able to kind of move Yes all the way over to his side of the Hall Brawl, closer to his bell, to where once they actually let go of each other and separate to do a foot race, Troy is already at his bell, he rings it, gets round one. Now in round two, I was thinking that Casey has some football, some rugby, as Yes said in the show's edit, she has some contact sport experience. So I was thinking Casey should get this. Troy won his matchup. I think Casey will win this. They should go off 2-0. However, it gets down to a good old wrestle, and Emily is able to move Casey closer to her bell to where when they separate and is in a foot race, because of how close Emily was to her bell, she was able to ring it easily and get round two. Now we have to go to sudden death, where TJ flips a coin and it's either going to be the men going next or the women are going to have a rematch, and it is heads. Casey versus Emily. Again, Casey wants instant redemption after losing round two. And in round three, Casey does not drop the ball. She is able to move Emily at will, going all the way to her side of the Hall Brawl. And then once they let go of each other, Casey is easily able to ring her bell, winning this elimination, locking in the ticket for Troy and Casey to make it into the finals, be that fourth team heading into the finals. And Emily is absolutely heartbreaking. She is profusely crying about getting this far into the game and being eliminated. Yes, and Emily played a fantastic game this season. However, they are eliminated so close to the finals. They get 5th place overall, and they exit the game as Troy and Casey retake their place up at the pedestal with the other 3 teams who are locked into the finals. And then TJ lets it be known to everyone that the finals are starting right now, which kind of reminds me of what happened in the Challenge Australia. Troy only went to 1 elimination that season, and that was the last elimination of the season. And right when he was done with that paddle brawl, Bryony said that the finals start right now. So this is nothing new to Troy. At least he is not as bruised and battered as he was at the end of the Challenge Australia heading into the finals. But him and Casey are a little tired and a little bruised, but everybody's excited and everybody is shocked that the finals are starting right this moment. And then, boom, credits are rolling because that is it. We are getting the finals next week, where we have Sarah and Theo, Jordan and Kaz, Danny, Tori, Casey, and Troy all against each other in what looks to be a grueling finals. We're going to start this off on a train, it looks like, for Snowpiercer type finals. And then people are getting IV drips, and it just looks absolutely grueling. I think Casey is being carried by Troy at one point in the preview to the finals. I mean, I think this is going to be way more challenging than the spin-off finals that we saw, and even the Challenge 38 finals. Let's just be real. It's probably not 100 hours, but I'm sure it's going to be tougher than all those finals. that we saw leading up to this World Championship. But that is it for this week's review and recap. What'd you think about this episode? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about the daily challenge? What'd you think about Jordan and Kaz sabotaging Emily and Yes, and then kind of just helping Sarah and Theo win the final daily to punch their tickets into the finals? Do you think that was the smart move? Do you think that they actually honored their deal with Yes and Emily? Or do you think that they kind of gotten around it, beat around the bush, and then tried to go back and make things right by not winning? Let me know down in the comment section below. And I want to ask, would you have gone on to try to win that daily challenge? If you had made the same deal that Jordan and Kaz did with Yes and Emily, would you have tried to win it, or would you have done what they did and kind of just sit back and let another team win? Let me know down in the comment section below. What'd you think about coming back to the challenge house and how the voting ceremony went with everybody burn voting on themselves? Do you think that was the right move, or were you just as frustrated as I was that everybody was just willing to leave their fate in somebody else's hands, leave the decision in somebody else's hands? Let me know that down in the comment section below. And what'd you think about this Hall Brawl matchup? I'll say I was standing up, rooting, hollering, and I was thinking that this was super, super enticing. This was so incredible to watch, in my opinion, because I was so ecstatic with Troy winning his round, then Casey losing her round, and then coming down to a round 3 where Casey had to go back again. The editing made this Hall Brawl super exciting for me, and then once Casey was able to pull out that win, I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. I thought that this was just a really fun Hall Brawl to watch. But what did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I want to give a special shout out, thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/AngelCakeVids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who is watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really, really soon with more Challenge World Championship content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.